So I've been so excited to see this movie ever since I saw the first trailer. Now, I didn't watch the whole trailer because I wanted to go into this movie as blind as can be. I did watch a few other YouTubers do a review on this movie, and so I like to get and hear different perspectives. So I hope you guys enjoy that as well. I'm going to be actually taking off to go watch this movie right now. My husband hates horror films, so I will be going alone, but that is exactly how I like it. So I'm taking you guys along with me. I'm going to give you an honest review from my perspective, and I will have a section that I will let you guys know when the spoilers start because I'm going to break down this movie from beginning to end. So if that's something you're interested, come along with me to the movies.
Fuck that.
All right, guys. So I just came out of the movie, and I I wanted to do an informal review here in my car, but I feel like I would not be doing this review justice unless I do a more formal review. So I need to sit on this one because this movie was nothing like I imagined. There's so much that I need to think through before I could do a review that gives this movie justice. So I'm going to take the night. I'm going to sit with this movie. I'm going to gather my thoughts, and then we will come back tomorrow and discuss it in detail. All right, horror fans, welcome back to Dead Talk. So it's been a couple of days since I watched the movie. So here we are. I've had time to really soak in my thoughts, think about what I want to say, because if you haven't been following me for very long, you probably don't know, but my favorite genre of horror is the supernatural. I love going to haunted places. Like, I'm obsessed with it. I follow a lot of YouTubers that go to haunted places and, scope them out. So that's my favorite genre when it comes to horror. But this movie gave me so much intrigue because I had no idea what it was about. And so I really was excited about seeing this one. So before we dive into weapons, I want to just put a disclaimer out there that I will be getting into some spoilers, but I'll let you know when we get there. All right, so Weapons comes from the writer and director Zach Cregger. He's the same filmmaker behind Barbarian that was released in 2022. Now, if you've seen Barbarian, you already know that Cregger kind of has a reputation of blending creepy atmospheres with unexpected and bizarre twists, and Weapons is definitely no different, guys. The cast includes Josh Brolin, Julia Garner, Alden Ehrenreich, I think that's how you say it, Benedict Wong, Amy Madigan, who I found to be extremely creepy. On top of writing and directing this film, he even produced and co-scored the film, which was very much his vision from beginning to end. So now let's dive in to my thoughts. What worked for me in the film and where it really stumbled for me. So the first thing, let's talk about what I loved about the movie. So I loved the tension and the creepy atmosphere about this movie. Like I mentioned earlier, I love supernatural thrillers. And so I got that vibe. And it's crazy because if I was to compare it, and you guys are going to think I'm nuts, but if I was to compare this movie, I would say it is a cross between Longlegs and Insidious. And I want you guys to sit with that for a minute because that might make you think, like, what? Totally two different types of films, where Insidious is all about, the dead, the dead that's beyond, coming back to haunt this child and try to bring itself into our world, where Longlegs was a very spiritualistic, ritualistic movie. The reason why I say I feel like Weapons was a combination between the two is because in Weapons, it had that creepy feel that you got from Insidious, like when he was in the other world and he would see the dead people just sitting there staring straight off into space. I got that vibe in Weapons, and not to give too much away, you'll see when you see it. Hopefully that will make sense what I mean. And then where I feel like it was like Longlegs is that it had that just unsettling weirdness about it. You know, like the guy Longlegs, like he was weird looking. He had a white face. You know, he was making creepy noises and coming up to random people. And I feel like that's what Aunt Gladys, that's the kind of vibe she gives in the movie. So I don't know. I just, as I was watching it, I was just so confused on which way it was going. And that's why I just felt like it just didn't do what I wanted it to do for me. But we're going to get into that in a little bit. So the other thing that I really loved about this movie was the multi-perspective structure. So the movie goes on to tell you the story from each character's viewpoint. So you start with one character and you get told the story, and then it switches to the next character, and then it goes back to show you the same things, but from that person's point of view. I loved that about this movie because that keeps you engaged with each of the characters, wanting to know them more, wanting to understand what they were seeing. And I love that. And I loved the reveal, how it brings the last character in and tells you the reveal through that character. And I love that. Okay, so what didn't land with me? So it was the genre ambiguity. So ambiguity, hopefully I said that right. But it just gave me very alien zombie undertones. It hinted at the supernatural, hinted at ritualistic witchcraft, catatonia, uncanny disappearances. It kind of reminded me of a sci-fi horror film, which isn't really my jam. And so I feel like that's why I struggled in this movie, because it was pointing that way to me. And so I just wasn't as mentally engaged, because I thought, great, you know, this is about zombies, and I just don't like that. And then the other thing is, I got the vibe that maybe it was about aliens. And the reason why I want to kind of share with you, without going into too much details, there is a scene where up in the sky, they show, it's a gun, but it's like it's almost if it's somebody's using a projector and putting like a picture of a gun in the sky. But at first I didn't realize it was a gun. I thought it was like a spaceship. Like I thought it was like an alien. And the kids, and you've probably seen this in the previews, they're all running with their hands out, like they're going towards a certain thing. And so that's why I got the feeling that it was heading towards the alien structure versus the zombie. And I didn't like that either. So I just felt confused by some of the scenes. And I think that was the intention of the director, was to get us to think it was something that it wasn't, to keep us engaged, but it just really didn't work for me. All right, so now we're going to go into spoiler territory. So if you haven't seen the movie and want to stay mystery fresh, then go ahead and stop the video now. I'll let you guys know down below when I'm going to wrap this up and when the spoiler alerts end. So with that said, if you want to jump off now, go ahead and do so. Okay, so here's when I get into the nitty gritty of what I didn't like. So the cheesy comedy moments, like I love me some comedy in horror films, but this one, it didn't feel appropriate to me. Like I felt like it was so, okay, so let me back up. The whole time I'm watching the first section of the movie and I'm hearing everybody's viewpoints, I'm thinking it's going alien or zombie, okay? Then when it really divulges where it's gone and what the whole premise of the story is, then I was excited. I was like, this is it. This is awesome. But right after that, there's a scene where all the kids are now chasing Aunt Gladys, and they attack her, and they basically like decapitate her with their hands. Like they rip her apart. They're eating her flesh. I mean, like it was unsettling to say the least. And I just thought it was cheesy. Like I just didn't like that. For some reason, like I just feel like it just took the vibe away of it being what the ending was. I mean, great. I'm glad they killed her and got rid of her, but I just thought that was just weird and strange. And then with the genre confusion being unveiled, I just didn't, like the way it just led us in a different direction. I've talked about that. I don't need to go down that road again. So when thinking about the narrative, clarity versus mystery, I really just think that had it not thrown in those extra things that made it feel like an alien and zombie, and that's just for me personally, because some people love those kinds of movies, and I know people loved this movie, and I did too. I just wouldn't say, so just kind of like, if I was just to come down and rate it, I would say that I would give it an 8 out of 10. So not bad, but not the best. I'm hearing people saying it's like the best horror film of the century, and I just don't see that. I mean, it's good, but it didn't make me walk away going, wow, like I did with Long Legs. And I think the reason I did that with Long Legs is because there was so many hidden things throughout that once you got to the end and realized what it was like you were just kind of like, poof, all those hidden meanings. And I feel like Zach tried to do that in this movie, but they just didn't land. Like they didn't connect for me. Like maybe I just didn't get it, and that's okay, So I'd love to hear what you guys thought of this movie. That's my personal review. All in all, I think it was a good horror film. Would I go to the movies and pay money to see it? Telling you guys, yes, I absolutely think it's good enough to pay for it, to go in the theaters. I would recommend, and I didn't do this, to go to the theater where the seats move. I think that might make it more intense. I just went to the regular one, or maybe even an IMAX might be pretty cool. So I would recommend that. But it's definitely movie theater worthy. But when it comes to, being the best horror film, I would just have to disagree. So, that's pretty much it, guys. I hope you like this video. If you want to see more reviews, I'm going to start doing a lot more. I'm going to definitely make this channel more about, and you guys probably can tell by the name, I changed the name of my channel. I was doing a lot of reaction videos on here, and I'm just kind of switching it up to really go after movie reviews because that is what I'm passionate about. I love horror films. I love anything supernatural. So if that's the type of horror you're interested in, a lot of my films are going to be based on that. In fact, I will place it at the end of this video. I just did a video on my top favorite 15 psychological thrillers ever made. So you definitely have to check that out if you're into psychological thrillers. And let me know what movie you want me to go watch and review on next. And that's it. I hope you guys will subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.